All right, you glorious lot, welcome back. Whether you're hearing this with a brew in hand on a grey Manchester morning or catching up from somewhere across the globe, we are absolutely delighted to have you here. Pull up a chair, settle in, because today we are diving headfirst into what could genuinely be the most pivotal summer in a generation for Manchester United. The stakes have never been higher, the pressure has never been greater, and the need for bold, decisive action in the transfer market has never been more urgent. So follow along, share this with every Red you know, and make sure you stay locked in, because the updates coming out of Old Trafford this summer are going to be nothing short of relentless. Let us be brutally honest with ourselves, because that is what proper supporters do. Manchester United's midfield, the engine room, the beating heart of any great football side, is in a state that simply cannot be allowed to carry into next season. Casemiro, the Brazilian warrior who arrived with such fanfare and genuinely delivered moments of brilliance, is heading for the exit. His time at Old Trafford appears to be drawing to a close, and while we salute his service, the club must move on. Then there is Manuel Ugarte, the Uruguayan combatant signed with such hope, whose future at the Theatre of Dreams is looking increasingly fragile with each passing week. 2 midfield slots, 2 gaping holes to fill, and a club that simply cannot afford to get this wrong again. Edison from Atalanta is arguably the most realistic and most exciting of the realistic options. The 26-year-old has been on United's radar for years. And now Jason Wilcox, a man whose eye for talent we should all be paying attention to, is said to genuinely admire him. His agent Andre Curie is reportedly pushing hard for the move. Talks through intermediaries have happened. This is not smoke, United fans, this is fire. Edison is a box-to-box midfielder of the highest order, composure on the ball, relentless off it, with the tactical intelligence that Atalanta's Gianpiero Gasperini demands from all his players. Could this be the transformative signing United desperately need in the deeper areas of midfield? Now then, Aurelian Tchouaméni. Say his name slowly and let it roll off the tongue, because internally at Old Trafford they are saying it with reverence. Sources tell us that United view the Frenchman as one of the finest midfielders on the planet. One of the best, not in England, not in Europe, on the planet. That tells you everything about the ambition within the club. The relationship between United and his representatives is described as excellent. But, and this is a painful but, Real Madrid currently have no intention of letting him walk. He is their present and their future. The door is closed. Or is it? In football, every door has a price, every wall has a crack. So we ask you, should United be throwing everything at forcing this move, or is the energy better spent elsewhere? Sandro Tonali is a name that sends a different kind of electricity through the Old Trafford faithful. The Italian maestro, composed, technically gifted, with a footballing brain that belies his years, is admired at United, and now comes the concrete stuff. A significant offer is reportedly being prepared. Newcastle will not sell cheaply. They should not. Tonali is one of the finest midfielders in the Premier League, and the Magpies know his worth. But United are apparently ready to go to serious lengths to make this happen. Champions League football next season makes the pitch infinitely more attractive. Is Tonali the man to restore craft and elegance to United's midfield? And then there is the most tantalising, the most audacious, the most glorious what-if of them all, Cole Palmer. Multiple sources continue to claim, quietly and persistently, that the England sensation would privately consider a move to Manchester United. Chelsea's official line is simple: he is not for sale, full stop, end of discussion. But football does not always follow official lines. Palmer is the most complete attacking midfielder in the country right now, arguably in Europe. And if United are playing Champions League football next season, as they should be, then the pull of Old Trafford combined with a truly staggering offer could make the impossible possible. Do you believe it can happen? Manchester United are expected to withdraw from the race to sign Nottingham Forest's Elliot Anderson after being quoted a staggering, eye-watering £120 million fee. A figure that the Red Devils believe is vastly inflated, and one they are simply unwilling to pay in a bidding war against their bitter rivals, Manchester City. And honestly, you cannot blame them. You simply cannot. But here's the gutting part, lads. Both Manchester United and Manchester City will move quickly to try and sign Anderson, with any deal expected to be worth around £100 million if he does move. However, both Manchester clubs fear that an impressive performance at the World Cup this summer could see his value skyrocket even further. So the clock is absolutely ticking. Every week of delay is a week closer to Anderson putting on an England shirt at the World Cup, tearing teams apart, and Nottingham Forest doubling that already inflated asking price. Do United really want to risk that? Now, who exactly is Elliot Anderson, and why is the whole of English football falling over itself to sign him? The 23-year-old midfielder has enjoyed a strong run of form at club level with Nottingham Forest, where regular first-team football has contributed to his rapid development so impressive that he earned his senior England debut in September 2025, being named Player of the Match on his bow for the Three Lions. Player of the Match on his debut. Let that sink in. This lad is not just a prospect, he is the real deal, a genuine warrior in the middle of the park. Anderson is energetic and defensively active, yet also comfortable handling a huge volume of passes in a controlled possession system. His all-round game is extremely strong, the kind of midfielder you anchor an entire side around. That description alone should be making United fans salivate. After years of watching midfield after midfield crumble, leak goals and fail to control games, Anderson is precisely the type of engine room general that Old Trafford has been crying out for. He covers the ground like a Rolls-Royce, wins his duels, and yet still has the footballing intelligence to play forward, the complete package. Meanwhile, inside the walls of Carrington, another story is rapidly reaching its bitter conclusion. Manuel Ugarte's days at Manchester United are firmly numbered. Jorge Tchouaméni will meet with super agent Jorge Mendes in the coming days to try to advance the Uruguayan's departure, with United aiming for a permanent sale close to €28 million. Roughly half of the £50.5 million they paid Paris Saint-Germain for him back in 2024. Half price, say it slowly. Manchester United, a club of this magnitude, selling a player for half of what they paid just 2 years ago. That is the brutal, uncomfortable reality of a signing that simply never worked out. Despite his reputation as a combative and reliable defensive midfielder, Ugarte's influence has steadily declined, reflected in just 22 appearances this season, with only 8 coming from the starting lineup. 8 starts. For a player signed to be the beating heart of your midfield, it is a damning indictment. Atletico Madrid and Napoli are currently the two clubs showing the strongest interest, both monitoring the situation closely ahead of the summer. Both are superb destinations for a player of Ugarte's profile. Diego Simeone's Atletico would give him the defensive structure to thrive, whilst Napoli, with their rich Serie A pedigree, could reignite the best qualities he showed at Sporting CP and PSG. But here is the question that demands an honest answer. Was Manuel Ugarte ever truly given a fair crack of the whip at Old Trafford? Was he properly integrated, properly managed, properly supported? Or was he another victim of a club in transition, forever reshuffling the deck beneath his feet before he could find his footing? And then there is Marcus Rashford. Oh, Marcus! The story of the boy who grew up dreaming of Old Trafford, who once wore the badge with fire in his eyes and thunder in his boots, and who now finds himself at the centre of a delicate, complicated dance between two of Europe's great clubs. Barcelona are pushing hard for a second loan deal for Rashford, with talks with Manchester United ongoing. Crucially, Barca currently do not want to trigger the €30 million option to buy. They would ideally prefer a second loan, or at the very least negotiate the fee down significantly. Either way, the expectation is that Rashford will remain at the Catalan Giants for another season. And why wouldn't they want him? The Rashford who rediscovered his mojo under the Camp Nou lights, linking, running, pressing, smiling again, is a million miles from the peripheral, disinterested figure who shuffled around Old Trafford in those final painful months. Barcelona gave him the stage and he lit it up. But United face a genuinely difficult calculation here. Do you cash in on Rashford permanently and draw a clean line under the whole affair? Or do you allow Barcelona to milk another loan, retaining leverage whilst never truly committing? Is a second loan deal really in United's best interests, or are they simply delaying an inevitable, necessary goodbye? Here is the truth of it, stated plainly for every Red Devil who has bled for this club through thick and thin. This summer is not a moment for half measures. It is not a window for tinkering, for bargain hunting, for crossing fingers and hoping. Manchester United need 2 quality midfielders. Stay connected for more United updates.